Welcome back, children. In the last class, we've learned about adjectives and certain kinds of adjectives. I hope you understood the topic and I hope you have written the exercises related to the concerned topics that was taken. Okay? So, what are adjectives, children? You already know. Adjectives are actually describing words. Right? It describes the noun. Adjectives basically describes a noun. Now we have learned adjectives of quality, adjectives of quantity and adjectives of number. Now adjectives of quality tells us the kinds of noun, what kind of a noun is mentioned. Adjectives of quantity tells us the quantity of a noun in a sentence. And adjectives of number tells us the number of nouns in a particular sentence, right? These are the three kinds what we learned in the previous class, right? Now let us learn certain other kinds of adjectives. Alright, the next kind of adjective or type of adjective what we are learning is demonstrative adjective. Now what exactly is a demonstrative adjective? Adjectives that are used to point out the naming word. Okay? Adjectives that are used to point out a naming word is known as a demonstrative adjective. And examples are this, that, these and those. Right? If we want to point out certain things or persons or animals, we use words like this, that, those, these. So all these words are actually demonstrative adjectives. It is used to point out the noun that we are referring in a sentence. Okay? Now just look at the sentences written on the board. This bike is Rahul's. Right? Somebody is saying that this bike is pointing out and saying that this bike is Rahul's. So this is a demonstrative adjective in this sentence. Okay. And what about the next one? I can see that mango tree. I can see that mango tree. So that is a demonstrative adjective in this sentence because it tells us which mango tree. And the previous one here, the word this bike is Rahul's. The word this tells us whose bike or which bike. Among the bikes, which is Rahul's bike. So the word this tells us that, right? It points out to the bike that is Rahul's. Okay, I hope you understood that, children. So demonstrative adjectives are actually adjectives used to point out the naming word in a sentence. And the examples of demonstrative adjectives are this, that, these and those. Okay, now a little bit more about demonstrative adjective. Let us learn. See, we use this and these. They are demonstrative adjectives, but this and these are used to point out persons, things which are nearer. This and these are demonstrative adjectives, but we use them to point out things that are near to us. Okay? Whereas that and those is used to point out persons or things that are far away. Okay? So this and these points out to persons or things that are near. That and those are used to point out persons or things that are far away. That and this is used for singular nouns, and those and these are used for plural nouns, more than one. Okay, so I hope you understood this. This and these are actually used, demonstrative adjectives used to point out persons or things which are near. Okay, and that and those are demonstrative adjective that is used to point out persons or things that are far away. That and this is used for singular nouns. Those and these are used to pinpoint plural nouns. Okay, so I hope you understood what is a demonstrative adjective. Alright, it is basically demonstrative adjectives are used to point out the naming word, right? And the examples are this, that, these and those. Now let us learn the next type of adjective, interrogative. Interrogative adjectives. So what are these interrogative adjectives? There are adjectives which ask a question. Okay, so adjectives which ask questions are basically known as interrogative or interrogative adjectives. Interrogation, the meaning of the word interrogation is asking question. So adjectives which ask a question is known as an interrogative adjective. And examples of interrogative adjectives like what, whose and which. When these words are included in any sentence, we understand that it is related to asking questions. Alright, while we question someone or something, we use what, whose and which. Alright, so basically interrogative adjectives are adjectives which are used to ask questions. And examples are what, whose and which. Okay? Now, look at the sentence over here. Whose book are you reading? Right? And which is the interrogative adjective here? Whose. Because that is a word that depicts a question. Whose book are you reading? Similarly, which dress do you want? Which dress do you want? Again, which is the interrogative adjective, the question word, right? So, interrogative adjectives are basically adjectives which ask questions, and the words used as interrogative adjectives are what, whose and which. Alright children? Now let's go to the next type of adjective. The next adjective which we need to learn is possessive adjective. Okay? Now what is this possessive adjective? It is said that adjectives that shows possession or belongings, right? The word possessive means you have a feeling of oneness or belonging, a feeling of ownership. So basically adjectives tells us or shows possession or belonging. And examples like his, her, are and your are words that are possessive adjectives. So if you find words like this, in that sentence, that is a possessive adjective. Okay. So basically adjectives that shows us possession, belonging or ownership are known as possessive adjectives, and the words that depicts possessive adjectives are his, her, are and yours. And it should answer the question whose. Since it is possession, right? Meaning of possession means ownership or belonging. So it should answer the question whose. Look at the sentence over here. My book is lying on the table. Right? And the possessive adjective is my over here. Why? Why is it so? Because it tells us whose book. My book is on the table. So possession. Same way the next one. They sold their home. Alright, so now there is the possessive adjective in this sentence because it tells us whose house. Right? They sold their house. So the word there tells us whose house we are talking about. Understood? So possessive adjectives are actually adjectives that shows possession, belonging or ownership. And words like his, her, are and yours are words that depict such possession, and they are known as possessive adjectives. Okay, I hope you have understood. We will just refresh what we have learnt today. Alright, so demonstrative adjective. What is demonstrative adjective, children? These are adjectives that are used to point out the naming word. And words like this, that, these and those are demonstrative adjective. And over here the example, this bike is Rahul's. The word this is the demonstrative adjective because it tells which is Rahul's bike. I can see that mango tree. The word that is the demonstrative adjective over here. Okay, because it tells us which mango tree. The next one, this and these, certain things that we learn extra about demonstrative adjective. This and these are words that point out persons or things that are near to us. That and those are used to point out persons or things that are far away. Now that and this is used for singular nouns, and those and these are used for plural nouns. Now we learn interrogative adjective, right? After that, adjectives which ask a question or which are related to asking questions are known as interrogative adjectives. Example, what, whose and which. So over here, whose book are you reading? The word whose is the interrogative adjective. Next one, which dress do you want? The word which is the interrogative adjective over here because it is related to asking a question. Which dress? So which is the interrogative adjective. Okay, next what did we learn? Possessive adjective. Now what is possessive adjective, children? Adjectives that shows possession or belonging are known as possessive adjective. Okay, and the examples are his, her, our and yours. Words like this tells us that it is a possessive adjective. And again, the sentence, my book is lying on the table. So the word my tells us whose book is on the table. Okay. Then we have they sold their house. The word there tells us whose house we are talking about. Okay, children. So I hope you have understood the topics well, and I want you to do all the exercises mentioned in your textbook. Okay. Thank you, children.